Talking with Jerry.
Okay, so I'm back. Haven't done a podcast in a while, dropping something on what was recently in the news and about one of my favorite people. And I've got somebody asking me some questions tonight. So here we go.
Okay. It's been exactly a year since the passing of Kevin Samuels, the most successful black podcaster who had over 1 million followers. I know you admired him. So much has transpired in the last year since his death in the black Manosphere, with many new black male podcasters on YouTube and TikTok as well as other platforms. Why is this and what's going on?
Well, first of all, I can't say enough, as I've said in 2 other podcasts I did about Kevin Samuels. One, that he was 100% right. And as far as, the black manosphere and a number of black male podcasters that have become popular, that has happened because traditionally, we haven't had outlets where black men have had a chance to speak about issues in our community, where other than as a newsman or a news person, they're reading by writers, by producers, what they're told to say. And unfortunately, we know that shows like Oprah Winfrey, Wendy Williams, that these women were given platforms to talk about all kinds of issues. And there really was no male equivalent, no black male equivalent. And just mentioning Kevin Samuels, though he was targeted towards speaking about relationships, he built up a very large audience and really spoke for a lot of men, not just black men, but spoke from the perspective of issues from a man's perspective, which, as I said, the opportunity to be able to talk about issues was not one that black men in the past have had. They haven't had a platform. But thanks to social media, thanks to YouTube, thanks to TikTok, Instagram, these things, there is this vehicle now. And of course, when things come up to be discussed, Kevin was someone who would chime in on that. And thus we had a very controversial topic that came up last week that I'm sure Kevin Samuels would have had something to say about.
Well said. Recently, Eboni K. Williams made some very controversial comments regarding men, specifically black men, as related to her dating habits and trying to find a mate. In addition, stating she would not date a bus driver, but maybe if he owned the bus, she would consider.
Women in America. Pew Research said that women are now out-earning men in 22 of the largest cities in America, including where I live, New York, D.C., L.A., you name it. When we talk, and I know that you've said that you cannot teach a man or tell a man how to be a man, so I will not ask you to indict men in this question. But I do want you to speak, Iyanla, to how women need to, position ourselves so that we can be in our divinity, so we can have our crowns right, how we can create and not build, when some of us, quite frankly, feel that the men that are available to us, and I'm talking about across the color spectrum, across the age spectrum, trust me, I've done them all, they are not positioned to protect nor provide because of some of the statistics we just talked about. They're not earning the incomes. They're not having the resources, and some of them are not even showing up in the leadership.
Would you date a bus driver? Would you date
if he owns the bus? If he owns it. If he owns the bus.
See, that's a problem. That's a problem. Okay. Because the standards and requisites, and I'm not talking about him laying on his sofa playing video games all day. I'm not talking about that. But the standards and the criteria that we use to measure men is off for who we are as women and who they are in this society. I would date a bus driver if he loved driving the bus, if he was a man of integrity, if he was good to his mama, if he treated me well. I would date a bus driver. But we think that it's another human being's responsibility to give us what we need instead of us building together. I could build with a bus driver. I'd have my little stash over on the side in my prenup, but I could build with a bus driver. So I think some of the criteria that we look for in the reality of today keeps us unhappy, keeps us angry, keeps us imbalance. And then when the men show up, we want to beat them up because they're not living up to our standards and criteria. And it's not working, beloved. It's just not working. So it's not that it's bad or wrong. It's obsolete. It's obsolete.
Your comments.
Wow. Well, a lot of people in the Black Manosphere have chimed in on this. And this is something that Kevin Samuels touched on, which is delusional modern women. He wasn't targeting black women, whether he meant all women of all races, all women around the world. Primarily, he was talking about Western women, modern women, who really have adopted a philosophy of having this dream Prince Charming that's going to come along and do everything for them. And at the same time, though there's a limited amount of men who have the ability to live the type of lifestyle, not only for themselves, but to bring a woman into this particular lifestyle, he was basically telling women who called his show that you're being delusional because that only represents perhaps 1% of men who make that kind of money. And what chance do you think you will have to potentially go and have a relationship with someone like that? What you should do is set your sights on something realistic to establish a relationship with someone that you can build something with. And, Ebony K's comments really fall right in line with exactly what Kevin Samuels was talking about, the delusional modern women. So looking at what she said, first of all, it's a diss to working men.
It wasn't enough that you said you wouldn't be with a bus driver unless he owns the bus. Okay, all right, fine. So then you went and slept on it, and then you came back and said, we have been indoctrinated into white supremacy because we want to be with a man that is a blue-collar worker. I'm saying it respectfully. You said some other foolishness, but we're going to get on that. So now you sitting up here telling us who have blue-collar workers that we're married to, who have kings that have built foundations, own property, own businesses, that we doing it wrong, but you doing it right, and you done hit the wall? You done hit the wall, mommy. You done hit the wall. Go sit down. Go sit down. Go buy you a dog. Go sit down. You doing foolery. You telling these young girls what? This is the nonsense that I talk about on social media. Please, you are dismissed.
I think she had in mind, black men, working black men. A bus driver in a major urban city can make six figures. Besides making a good living, an honest living at that, it's a hard-working man. It's someone that in many cases after 20, 25 years of service, he gets a full pension. So for the rest of his life, he has a very good income coming in. He can start a second career. He has benefits. And he has the things and attributes that traditionally women would be attracted to, in that he's someone who is keeping a steady job. It is a career, and it's something positive, as opposed to having this delusion that you're going to meet Prince Charming who makes $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 a year, and that he's going to just come and rescue you. That's not reality. And the fact that this woman who is in her 40s hasn't met someone yet tells you a lot, even though she is a professional woman. Now, some of the other comments she made about, well, black women, we're going to college and we're getting degrees and we have all these high-end jobs, and the men just don't match up with us. Well, there's a lot of misinformation there. A lot of black women are going to college, but a lot of them are not finishing college. A lot of them are going to college, and what kind of degrees are they getting? Degrees in women's studies, degrees in PR. Those aren't degrees that lead to six-figure jobs. And in addition to that, there's this misnomer that because you have a large percentage of black women achieving professional success, that you don't have white women achieving professional success. And there are more women in college today than there are men, and that trend is going to continue. And with that type of a trend, I think women have to adjust themselves to say, I may not have to look for being in a relationship with a doctor, lawyer, Indian chief. And there's another type of man that's out here that I can have a successful relationship with and build something with. Matter of fact, many of the better paying jobs for the future are not white collar jobs, they're blue collar jobs. So I'll just give you one example. There's a young man that I met here in Florida, and his mother was a crack addict. He had a very difficult life growing up. He learned the basics of becoming an electrician. He got a job working for a guy that owned a mid-sized company, and he got fired over some BS. He went and started his own company. He got married, his wife helped him, and he started getting contracts. He started building up customers. Just fast forward to now, he's a multi-millionaire. He has his own plane. He has 10 drivers who are electricians who work for him. He gets major contracts to do all the electrical work in a lot of the subdivisions that are being built all over this particular county. And he even puts in bids when there are power outages and tornadoes and storms to go into other states to do work. Now, he started as a basic electrician. He wasn't even in the union, but he was able to build a multi-million-dollar business. And there are black plumbers, there are black construction workers who go on to start their own companies. So to women who want to just cast off people who are working men, people who get their hands dirty, who have to take a shower when they come home from work, or people who work for the municipal government as a bus driver or in other fields, and they can retire after 20, 25 years with a very good pension and benefits, and they're set for the rest of their life, that's a mistake. So that gets to the delusion of what Kevin Samuels was talking about, and I just think that she played herself with those comments.
Well said. What's your prediction on where this is going to go?
Well, in the black manosphere, there's a lot of black men who are looking at options. There are a lot of black men who are saying, do I really want to take on responsibility of being with a delusional woman? Or do I want to, in some cases, take on the responsibility of being with a woman who already has a ready-made family, and they're looking at options that they didn't have in the past? So we have something called, what is it called? I think some people have been really getting upset about it. Passport brothers. I'm not a passport brother, as I've said before, but yes, this is a movement that men, and it's not just black men, have become a big part of, and they're traveling around the world. They're going to Thailand, they're going to the Philippines, they're going to the Dominican Republic, they're going to Europe, they're going to Brazil. They're even getting a lot of pushback from women, but women travel all over the world. Men are just starting to travel to look at other options for relationships. And in places like Brazil, remember, culturally, there are more women of African descent in Brazil than there are any place else on this planet. So maybe, unfortunately, that might be one of the results of unrealistic, delusional expectations for someone who is looking for a mate, ready to settle down, and they get so frustrated that they just totally give up and say, you know what, I just can't make it here in America. I don't know what I'm going to do. but I'm going to use my passport. Well, that's all I've got to say. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Leave your comments. Thank you.